and gentlemen, foes and fans, friends, and yes, even fudders, welcome to Shy Speaks SHIB, episode number 3. I'm your host, Shytoshi Kusama, and as always, I want to thank the Most High God for allowing me to do this today. Now, let's get started on an interesting topic. We're going to talk about you, about the community, about what community means, and all of that ties very closely into the user experience. And of course, all the wonderful things that you all are building. And for that, we have one of my favorite decentralized project leaders, I guess is the right term, Nakama. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Shy. Glad to be here.
Definitely my pleasure. We'll talk to Nakama in just a moment and talk about what we have in store to support the community. But first, I want to take a little bit to talk about really what is community, and really, I guess, deeper than that, what is humanity? I have a degree in anthropology, fun fact. And one of the things that I enjoy most is understanding what is community and the power of community. And it's different. But there are some threads that tie together no matter where you go. One thing I've learned is the power of gifts. Gifts are so important, specifically birthday gifts, gifts that you can give people. Gifts is one of the major love languages, as you all know, or maybe you don't know. And a gift is important because it shows one of two things. It shows that you either care for someone and or that you thought about someone, which is slightly different than you care for them. You could say, look, I love you, here's some flowers. There's not a lot of thought into that type of gift. But when you say, look, here are your favorite flowers that I had to travel 20 minutes for, and I had to get them specifically made for you. They're in your favorite color. And I thought about you, so I wrote you a card. That gift has more power because of how much energy went into it. But gifts are just one of the ways that communities and cultures are built. There are a lot of other things. Obviously, there's financial exchange is another. And by the way, I'm not like reading off of some GPT prompt, but this is just my humble opinion, based on a lot of years of research. I think another thing that's really important in community and in cultures is kindness. It's funny because if someone was to ask me, where are the kindest people in the entire world? Because I've been now to almost every continent. I've tried, my passport is crazy. I've been in all these different countries as I try to promote and showcase SHIB, successfully or unsuccessfully, depending on how much of a fudder you are. And it's funny because some people just have a reputation for being extremely kind. And I found that in most cultures, almost everyone is kind. Like they're willing to help you. They're willing to take you places. They're willing to help you try their food. In most cultures, enjoy their language, except for France. And one of the things that I find quite interesting is, although I'm not going to pick a particular place, I know everyone wants me to pick, but I won't in this particular podcast. You know what the kindest countries are. Just do a quick Google search. Guaranteed, whatever you see, the top 5, they're going to say, probably going to be the same, I'm going to say. But these different cultural aspects lead to certain outputs. So now let's talk about the output of the culture. So in some cultures, like where you have extreme kindness, you're going to get a certain output of products, of services, and not necessarily agriculturally, because that's more so based on location and then climate, right? So like you can't help what is growing in your country, right? But you can utilize the certain cultural aspects of your community to output certain things. There's one more thing I should add before we move into output. This is not just random. Culture is usually a accumulation of years and in some cases centuries of conflict. Okay. One country that has a very interesting mentality towards output and the culture around producing extremely high quality products is Japan. And a lot of this is based on the Bushido and the ancient samurai and the different mentalities that came over hundreds of years in this island nation, and the more recent situations that have taken place in that country where the country collectively decided we will now do this. And the combination of ancient philosophy and modern philosophy gives birth to these certain levels of outcase. So when we begin to look at SHIB as a culture and as a community, we have to ask the same question. Question number one, is there kindness? I know I have a different perspective than you as a listener. Some listeners say, of course, SHIB is so kind. The people are awesome. I've made so many friends. Okay, cool, bro. You'll get other people who say, no, SHIB is full of scammers. These guys screw everyone. They're liars. They didn't done this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool, bro. From my perspective, SHIB is what it can be, not what it is currently. Because as I said before, culture is based on months and months and years and decades and centuries of cultural understandings and hardship clashing together until there's a truly ingrained culture that has set over generations. And for that matter, we haven't even been in one generation of crypto yet. You understand? So to consider SHIB as a culture is just at this point untrue. We are still just building the foundation. And by the way, if you're wondering why I said the word untrue, those of you who saw that Dr. Doom movement, I'm sorry, stuck in my head. Anyway, so culture takes a little longer than a few years, which SHIB has done. And it feels like in crypto terms, it's been multiple decades because crypto moves so quickly. But in our particular case, it's only been a few years and we've already developed a fantastic foundation. And let me just say, this is a good moment for me to thank Kyle because these last few weeks and months, I had given up. I got to a point where I said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, count me out. And Kyle said, that's not how this works. We have to keep going. We have to keep pushing. And I appreciate him for that. And this is just a quick moment for me to say that because at the end of the day, we are still at the very beginning of what SHIB. And that's what's so inspiring about long-term output for us. So I've talked about outputs in certain communities, in certain situations, and locations where there's been, where certain qualities of the people who live there will automatically come to certain outputs. And unfortunately, one of the things that's really bad about this situation is that there are certain people and countries who take advantage of other people because of their natural inclinations towards et cetera, or et cetera. Okay. So you'll see bullies bully certain places because they know that a place has a certain inclination, guaranteed, or a certain quality where the people are X or Y, which means it's easier to go and conquer them or to bully them or to change their X or their Y. This has happened for centuries. So I'm not calling out anyone out now, even though I could. I'm saying that it is in centuries of people always changing how people are. And one of the things I hope that SHIB does differently is that it builds a foundation where no one can ever do that. That's the beauty of decentralization, truth, that you build a fortress against those who would stand against you, because it's not about just me. It is about all of us and what we can collectively build. Now, that being said, one of the things we haven't been best at because we've been focused on building and shipping products for you to use is showcasing what has been built. Simply true. Sorry, I've been kind of busy building the infrastructure for the future of the internet and the future of Web3. But now that we've got to the point of pretty much finishing that, laying out the constitution for this new state, nation state, network state, finding the correct components to make this modular and powerful, and tying it all together in a way that seems impossible when you do it without a budget. Now we can step back and say, how do we showcase the fantastic real builders that are trying to take what we have built to the next level? And that requires an incredibly deep understanding about UX, UI, how to showcase dApps and create a store where everyone can see what is being built. And that is why I'm so happy Sorry for my rant. But hey, you guys knew that was coming, right? Anyway, I'm happy to have on to this podcast today, Nakama, and we're going to talk deeply about this DApp Store. Nakama, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much, Shy. And that was a wonderful introduction. It's so inspirational to hear you talk about the project and see the bigger picture. So thanks for the intro. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the DApp Store, which just went live today. So exciting. So, listeners can go to Shibarium/dapps, that's DAPPS, and visit the DApp Store and see all the wonderful, showcase of community projects and dapps built for the community by the community. So just a little brief recap there to kind of echo what Shai's saying. So I know you've spoken about this in the past and our history and how we evolved from SHIB as a meme coin to being a utility token for the ecosystem and our other token launches, bringing rewards and benefits for our users. So we've been launching, as everyone who's been following SHIB project, we've been launching our dapps along the way, first on Shiba Swap and then migrating them to Shibarium, which is now our core go-to platform for all things SHIB. And what our dapps do is provide opportunities for our users to earn, innovate, and drive growth and community. And 2 years ago, we had our milestone Shibarium launch, which has been hugely successful. We just reached 1 billion transactions, which is, 1.1. That's amazing. So this is a testament to the fact that developers have been launching their dapps on our blockchain, deploying their smart contracts, and they're responsible for the growth and wallet connects that we have and all the data and growing transaction volume. So what we're doing now with the DApp Store launch is showcasing these community projects and acknowledging them, making discoverability easier for our community members and to give developers a platform to build on our infrastructure. So that's the two primary goals for launching the DApp Store. So it's really a platform on which others can build. So this is really at the core of what we're doing and why we're doing it. In the current evolution of SHIB and the direction we've been going is increasingly towards launching this operating system that makes it super easy for users to build on our infrastructure. And this is the true realization of the decentralized vision that Ryoshi had and that you've spoken a lot about, Shy. So the DApp Store, in a nutshell, is really a way to showcase and promote the dapps built by community and third-party developers and make it easier for others to discover and interact with these dapps, which have multiple use cases. So Shibarium/dapps is the URL. Would you like to add something more about the decentralized platform we're building, Shy, before we dive into the UX of the DApp Store and the infra?
Decentral. My opinion of decentralization has changed a lot since I've joined SHIB as a normal person. Years ago, with a few $1,000s in SHIB, without a team and without a treasury, that actually influences what I would answer to that question. I don't think it's proper for me to give my current opinion of decentralization. Instead, what I'll say is, I'm extremely happy that we are still moving in the right direction, which is to complete Ryoshi's vision. And we can only do but so much before the community will have to move this forward and take over. And I think that the DApp Store showcasing all the wonderful things that are being built on Shibarium is a very good start and a way to showcase what has happened. It goes back to what I was saying before, which is about communities across the world. And by communities, I mean nations, sometimes just small neighborhoods. But in all of those places, there's some way to showcase what is available, right? Before the internet even, there were ways you could find out what was being built or who to contact in certain cases. This is really how advertising and marketing takes hold, right? Because people want to know what they can do, or they're interested in doing certain things. And then the ability for them to find it becomes a certain thing. So, with 1.1 billion transactions and billion with the B transactions on Shibarium, it becomes vital for people to know what they can do. And I think as we continue to release the operating system so more people can do more things, this becomes even more important. So, decentralization is key to finalizing and completing the vision, but I won't speak on my opinion.
That was wonderfully put, Shy. Thank you for that. I'll just talk a little bit about the UX journey of the DApp Store, if I may.
Yes, so first, I should mention this, that Nakama is a UX expert, and too often we don't give enough props, for lack of a better term, for those who are really building important stuff. Nakama's been focused on the UI and specifically the UX for most of the products that we have been pushing for well over a year, 2 years, something like that.
Almost 2 years. Yeah.
Almost 2 years. So, if you enjoy the user experience when you're using these products, Nakama is a big reason for that. So if there's anyone that's the right person to talk about UX for SHIB, it's Nakama. So I'm super interested to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Shy. So the UX journey for DApp Store and our dApps platform, we like to keep it deliberately simple. So quite often, Web3 introduces a lot of unnecessary complexity and technical jargon, convoluted user flows into the user experience. So with our redesigned Shib.io and the new dApps we're launching in the DApp Store, we like to follow a more familiar Web 2 model. So if you look at the Mac OS, Apple Store, Google Play Store, they're very simple and easy to navigate. They have featured dApps, highlighted dApps, and categories of dApps. So in our first release of DApp Store, it has two main user journeys, both of which start from Shib.io. You can find DApp Store and Build on Shib in the primary navigation bar at the top. And basically the DApp Store is hosted on Shib.io/dapps. It's aimed at end users. It's really an indexed list of decentralized applications that can be filtered by various categories, very similar to the App Store. But in Web3 terms, this would be DeFi, tools, utilities, DAOs, swapping, bridging, lending, yield aggregators, social, NFTs, all that fun stuff. And so you can go there, explore all the dApps which are categorized that our community have built, and then open a dApp and interact with it directly. So we don't host the dApp on our platform. We build the underlying infrastructure and we host the index, because it's decentralized, right? And then we also have Build on Shib. So that can be accessed direct. URL is shib.io/build, and developers can go there to find out more about how to build dApps on Shibarium, and also list their existing dApps and view links to documentation. So the third main thing to mention here is we're actively looking for contributions from other developers, either that have Web3 applications already or have built Web 2 and they want to port it to Web 3. So you can go to shib.io/build and find out more about how to do this. So you can start the process of building your dApp on Shibarium. And if it's already on Shibarium, then please tell us about your dApp, because we want to include it in the DApp Store. So we have now also a dedicated Shibarium developers Telegram channel, which you can access via our official links page, via our footer. We have all of the official social media platforms listed there. And this is where you can connect directly with our development team, who can answer any questions. And then we have the developers form on shib.io/build. Just click on list your dApp and you can connect with us directly. And last but not least, we have SDKs. So we've launched a way for developers to quickly build on our platform. And I'll be talking about that at the end when we cover some more of the infrastructure, Shy. Yep. And I'd like to talk about promotional opportunities, if that's okay. But I'd like to pass the mic back to you in case you want to say something about this topic first.
I think you're doing a really thorough and important job explaining to the devs out there and to the community, how this all works, and really the robust amount of content that we've produced now, which for some odd reason seems to go unnoticed by way too many people in the world, but we'll see how long that lasts. So I would say, go ahead. Let's talk about promo opportunities. Obviously, one of the promo opportunities is being on this podcast. So far, we've had podcast listeners, guests from inside of our team, but obviously we'll be expanding to those outside of our team shortly. But I think it's a good opportunity to talk about some of the promo opportunities within the DApp Store. Go right ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. So the DApp Store itself is really open to all. So we want to showcase your dApps. You just need to fill in the form if it's not already on the store. So go to shib.io/dApps and see if you're already listed. If not, click on list your dApp and tell us about your dApp, link to your smart contracts, etc. Add a brief description and we'll add you to the DApp Store. In addition to that, we have an area dedicated to showcasing featured projects. It's a space on the DApp Store and Build Apps where developers who specifically requested their project to be featured can be featured. And we also have exclusive spots on the homepage of shib.io. So since we launched the redesigned site as the go-to home for everything shib.io in January, we've had over 500,000 visitors. So which is phenomenal, right? Yeah, it's awesome. So we're very happy to promote projects that reach out to us. If you complete the intake form on Build on Shib or use the contact us links in the footer, you can get in touch there and find out more about these opportunities to be promoted. So this means promoting your projects to the community, right? For greater reach, audience adoption, visibility, etc. And of course, you can be part of the DApp Store. Like we want everybody's project on the DApp Store that's building on Shibarium or integrating with our SDKs. We also have a daily news site, which averages, I think, 1 million views in a certain period of time. We have a newsletter, we have a magazine, we have lots of featured articles. So we recently published an article about Shups, which is a third-party developer not affiliated with SHIB. Like none of these projects, I have to add, is part of SHIB. They're all independent developers building on SHIB. Shups team is one of them. So we released an article about what they're building, which, has had a lot of reach and community interest. And we love to tell the community about what you're building for the community. So we're looking for, also Shine mentioned, we're looking for third-party DApp creators to join us on this podcast series. So also get in touch if you'd like to join us as a guest and talk about your project and what you're building.
Woo! Fantastic. All right. That sounds good to me. Dawa, we're running short on time. We have a few minutes. So let's finish up with that last topic. Oh, don't worry. Go right ahead. We have
the infra topic. Is there anything else?
Yes. Let's hear about it.
Okay, so really quickly, at its core, building on Shibarium is really about deploying smart contracts with Shibarium, executing transactions. So in order to build on Shibarium, I recommend that developers visit docs.shib.io, and there you can read documentation about building dApps, how to build dApps, how Shibarium works, how to deploy smart contracts, obtain RPC addresses and chain IDs, test tokens, and all the mainnet addresses, and very detailed documentation, as well as technologies that work well with Shibarium. You can obtain developer keys if you want to integrate with our SDKs. We have several. Perhaps this is better covered in a separate topic with the developers. We can talk about the SDKs we've built, what they are, and what we're building in the future. So SDKs enable developers to quickly build and save time because we already have a pre-written development kit of functions, core functions that you can call and leverage our decentralized services, right? But Shibarium itself as a blockchain, it's an EVM compatible chain. So developers familiar with building on Ethereum technologies should find Shibarium an easy chain to work with. And again, if you already have a DApp, then go to shibio.io/build, click on list your project and tell us about it so we can include it in the store, or send us a note saying, I'd love to appear on your podcast, or please feature me, promote my project. We'd be happy to. And then just last but not least, new things in the pipeline. We'll be adding reputation points. So I know you mentioned the Shy in the previous episode. So what this means is that third-party dApps can be rated by other community members. And since we're decentralized, having a trust layer built into our ecosystem is really important. And coming soon, we have a super exciting new addition to our infrastructure, and this will be Rollups and the ability to launch Rollups. So a Rollup is a dedicated secure blockchain, and developers and other teams can then deploy dApps on Rollup instances. So stay tuned for additional podcasts on this topic. There's lots more of exciting things to come in the SHIB infra realm.
Very true. Now, for those of you who heard episode 2, we've talked about the alpha layer and rollups, but just a little bit. I was touching on it again here about the fact that we will be able, or you will be able, to launch your own L2, as it were, or roll up or roll app as well.
I think it's L3. I think we're going to L3 now.
Don't quote me there. We'll get Wiz to answer that. I've heard like it's L2, it's L3. It's definitely not an L1. But the point is, you'll be able to launch incredible stuff. And the one thing I've been thinking about it a lot as we've developed the marketing to explain how the alpha layer works. It's one of those things where it's like, if you want to build and you want to be part of a large store where everything exists, doesn't matter if it's Exito, if it's Walmart, Target, Karula, whatever the place may be, depending on where you are, that's cool. And it's great because you get foot traffic and there's lots of stuff going on there. Sometimes you have a brand where you just want your own store inside of a mall. And that's when having a roll up or roll out makes a lot of sense in this kind of metaphor. So the cool thing about all this Dawa is that we've built all the infrastructure around it so that you're not just launching a chain or launching a product or a dApp and there's nothing there. You want FHE, you got it. You need Karma, you got it. You need the identity, right there, ready for you. So this is where it really becomes very powerful. And we're super excited to move it all forward. All right. So we've hit the 30-minute mark. We've heard a little bit about decentralization, about the DApp Store, about how you can be promoted. We are ultra excited to hear from you all. And I'm excited because I've been so much in my own bubble that I haven't been able to really understand what is being built on Shibarium. Hey, sorry, don't get mad at me. I've been building it. But now over the next number of episodes, I get to start meeting the community and hearing what they're building. And that's exciting. And I'll tell you, I'm sure there are going to be scammers because crypto in general is about whatever percent scammers, higher than zero, much higher than zero. But I believe there are some really good gems out there, people who are doing their best, building incredible stuff, building on Shibarium, even some who aren't building on Shibarium and they're just building and they want to talk about it and tell the world about it. I'm excited to hear about it, because I want to support those who are really trying to change the world and build incredible stuff. That's why we have the DApp Store. That's why we have the alpha layer. That's why I'm here and why I'm glad that all of you are here as well. Nakama, thank you for being here. I think we'll have you back on the show shortly, right?
Yeah, I think I'm up for another episode, and we have many more exciting ones planned. So looking forward to those, Shy. And thank you so much, listeners. Thank you, Shy. As always, great to be here.
My pleasure. Totally my pleasure. Thank you all for listening. And we will see you in the next episode. Take care and be well.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.